Hello, you're listening to Covid-tinted Glasses with Georgina. I'll be speaking to people from all around the world about their unique experiences of the pandemic, the good, the bad, the beautiful and the downright ugly, covering topics like friendship, family, travel, work, mental health and finding love. If you'd like to join me for a chat, then get in touch at georgina_podcast@outlook.com. Welcome to Covid-tinted Glasses. I'm Georgina and joining me is Ian, father of two, outdoor enthusiast and founder of Turn Wild. Welcome, Ian.
Thanks. Welcome, Georgina.
Thank you for being with me today. So how are you?
I'm good, yeah. Feeling good, feeling positive. Just getting on with it as we do and adapting as we all have to.
So tell everyone a little bit about yourself. So where are you based? And tell us a little bit more about Turn Wild.
Okay, well, Turn Wild is a outdoor company that takes people into the wilderness so they can enjoy the wilderness, trains them up, teaches them what they need to do. It might be skill set, it might be physically, it might be, just getting them the right equipment. And then we lead them on a nice little adventure and hopefully build them up to autonomy so they can go out and enjoy the outdoors. We're not into the sort of gnarly climbing, which is fantastic, and mountaineering, or the extreme events. But what we want to do is make a challenge that is suitable for each individual. And it's a lot of fun. And I live in the very, very mountainous area of West London.
Yes. Well, I can vouch for your trips. I did a fantastic one, 2 years ago now, because obviously last year we were all in lockdown, and it was the Mont Blanc challenge in Snowdonia. So can you tell people about that one? Because that's quite an interesting one.
Yeah, well, that was a couple of day hikes. It was really, really exciting. And what we do is we try to climb by the most popular route of Mont Blanc, the same altitude gain in Wales. We gave ourselves a little goal. We also do one called the English Everest as well. And that means that people go, I'm not going to the mountain if I'm not particularly working out and then just having a hike and saying that was great. I might be doing my walking, I might be doing my running, and I'm just going to sort of have a nice challenge, but go a bit further than I might do if I booked in for another sort of hike. So it's almost like the three peaks without sitting in the in the minibus for hours. Instead, you do the sort of the equivalent of the three peaks, but in between you're in the pub and socializing, which was quite nice. I think I enjoyed that quite a lot.
Yeah, no, that was good. And then there were a few people on that trip that then went on to do your Greenland expedition.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Yeah, that year you're going out to Greenland, and we went hiking for 6 days, 5 nights, right out into the wilderness, up to the ice cap itself. And really submerging ourselves into nature and into that very, very fragile ecosystem, and taking ourselves to the front line of environmental change. I mean, I think walking and talking is pretty nice way to meet people and pretty therapeutic, and taking yourselves and actually seeing and immersing yourselves in these environments is incredibly powerful. It's one thing to see it. It's one thing, another thing to actually, feel it and sense it, which you do when you're walking in ways that you might not even, in a car or even on a bicycle. It's fantastic. So that was a great trip.
So, I mean, that's really your range of kind of group trips, isn't it? So for the average person, so you range from a bit easier with the Mont Blanc challenge, where you don't stay out, and then you go to Greenland, where you're basically self-sufficient for the 6 days, pretty much, aren't you?
Yeah. So at the moment this year, we're doing something called Mountain to Tavern. So this will be on intro level, where people come, they go on a nice day hike, not as hard as the British Mont Blanc. And then, so they get the confidence. They get the confidence of being in the mountains. They get the confidence of being prepared. What equipment should they have? And they have their tents all set up for them. We've had to change everything around, obviously, and adapt because of COVID. And then, sorry, my head seems to have moved. And then, so we do it like that. And that's a lot of people are coming on that this year. That's our fastest filling event. We've got just a couple of places left, and really, really exciting in Buttermere. So that is a fantastic place to go. I mean, the glacial valleys, it's got a history of being one of the last places to stand out against William the Conqueror because of its Viking history as well. I mean, it's just an unbelievable place to go for that sense of escape, get rid of that feeling of being nature deficient, which especially if you live in a city, and just enjoying the company of like-minded folk.
Yeah, I mean, I love the trip I did. So as well as doing those kind of more kind of group-based ones, you also do private clients, don't you, one-to-one, and other. So you've got a huge depth of offerings, so to speak.
Yeah, I do everything from from one school in West London. I organise all their Duke of Edinburgh. Obviously, that stopped for a while, and then personal training, group classes. Did a lot more. I mean, we all had to adapt, like being in the wilderness. I mean, COVID you had no control, and you had to change. And I never thought I would be doing boot camps, standing with a cup of tea in my hand in my house while everybody else was running around in the rain. I found that fantastic. I mean, luckily I'd done 10 years of standing in the rain, so I knew what was going on. And people putting their phones in different places so you could watch everybody. It was different, but you do what you have to do. That was actually went down very well. So like everyone, we've just adapted, and it's been hard, and it's been ups and downs. But I think someone famous once said, didn't they? What doesn't kill us makes us stronger. So we adapt.
I mean, I was just coming to that. So basically, the pandemic hit. We weren't aware of how dramatic it was going to be. You were. It was the beginning of the year, so the beginning of, I suppose, when you were planning all your trips, going through the summer. I think you had Greenland planned and a few other trips as well. So, as a business, how did it affect you?
We did. I'll give you the build-up. We did our biggest trade show in Olympia. We put the most money, the most investment, and it went well. It went really well. We were really happy with that. And then the next week, I went to a different adventure travel show, and it was packed. And the biggest stand, it was China. And China is tipped at the time this year or next year before the pandemic to become the number one destination for the world. And it was empty. Nobody on it, not one person. And as I watched them, I was just watching, I saw the people who were actually the salespeople leave. They actually left their stand, and this is about 11 o'clock, and they'd obviously already had a day, nobody coming on, and they just went. And I went, everyone else is acting like nothing's going to happen. And I was like, I've invested so much money, I've just got to carry on. But I got home and I thought, I've got Norway planned and I've got Greenland planned. And although I'm going to lose a lot of money cancelling Norway, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to put a UK adventure in, because I'm going to hedge, almost hedge my bets if this gets worse or whatever. And I changed our sort of financial goals then. Then it transpired as we started learning. I mean, I knew as much of COVID as everybody else watching the TV. I was like, what happens if we go out to Greenland? We've got where we're going, there's a part-time nurse medical facility every other day. We're going to come from a high-risk area to an area that's probably got none and bring loads of people. What happens if they get sick? How are we going to deal with it? Are we going to is it ethical putting the local populace under strain? And I knew other expeditions were going there, and I went, and I got to admit, I had to sit down and have 4 cans of beer before I really hit the button, because I knew how much it was going to cost. It was costing us everything, our biggest investment. And I just went, okay, that's it. I can't ethically go. I can't honestly look somebody in the eye and say, I've got you covered, because I haven't. So we cancelled it. And that was painful. And then, but it was the right thing to do. And it transpired later on, obviously, everybody started cancelling later on, but we did that. And then we started going, okay, we'll go to Wales. And then with all I had to change the expeditions by date 3 times. I had to change them by country, from Wales to England. We just kept adapting because the rules were changing all the time. So we kept trying to, and we got some very loyal customers. We offered them 100% refund, whatever they wanted. But, you know, we are now going to do this. And we ended up having to lay on extra expeditions to keep them all happy. And I thought, well, they stuck with us, so let's do this. And we ended up having 2 fantastic expeditions. You know, but then you really started to see.
And when were those expeditions? In kind of June?
We did those when we were allowed to in the UK. Yeah, so we had one in July and one in June.
Yeah.
And it was really good to get out. But I mean, with the rules, with campsites, with the overbooking, with the, it was, you had to adapt almost on a daily basis with a safety structure involved, informing them all the way. It was interesting and a challenge, but you know, enjoyable. We got out there.
Well, that was really lucky. And just the reason why I laughed when Ian said he drank 4 cans of beer. To me, Ian is like a very health conscious person, and he's always posting his healthy meals on Facebook. So I was really surprised. That just made me laugh, because that must have been an extreme decision to have to make on 4 cans. Yeah, I mean, that just showed how stressful it was as well.
If you've built up over 3 years a pot of money to put into marketing, and then you've spent that entire lot, and then as you were going to email everyone saying it's cancelled, you know you're losing the entire lot. And you've got to think it's not just the marketing, because then you've got the insurance. None of the insurance people are going to refund you.
Yes.
So there was vast amounts of, for me as a tiny company, it's all about the overheads, and there are lots of them. And then you just wiped out a whole year that you built up to do. So that was a challenge, and but we're still in the game. That's the main thing, isn't it?
Yeah. So this year is looking a lot easier, fingers crossed, in the sense that you've got some expeditions lined up now, and those are going ahead.
They will go ahead. Some of the ones, like the one in May when we're doing a Snowdon expedition, the challenge is, it's going to be fantastic. I'm really looking forward to it, but you simply can't. I think at the moment it's currently rule of 6. So you, including the instructor, the coach, you cannot actually, for me, make money. You're actually running. No. You're doing it to keep people.
It's almost like a marketing exercise, isn't it? Really, just to show that you're still working, functioning.
Yeah, that one is. I mean, hopefully we can take more numbers in the June one.
Yeah,
and then the Mountain to Tavern, that's been filling up fast. And the challenge will be, if it we can bring in more instructors, but I don't think we'll be able to increase the capacity, because the places we go will be sold out.
And also, just to mention to everyone, like when you go on one of these trips, you have Ian, but we also had another mountain guide on the one in Snowdonia. So there were 2 of you, weren't there, for a very small group? So
we had a higher ratio on that one, because it was I wouldn't use the term, because it was extensive hiking.
Yeah.
We went higher than the regulatory ratio, so we could. If people broke off and they couldn't do it, then we could deal with that. And we're always trying to do that. When you're doing these wild camps and stuff, you've got to try and work out how to have backup, someone to pick you up. And it's. I
mean, that's part of your license, I suppose, because you are a qualified mountain leader rescue. What is the terminology?
No, mountain rescues are. I mean, they're fantastic. What those guys do. I mean, we're aiming never to call them, because they need to be there for. We don't go, we're going to the mountains. If it goes wrong, we just call mountain rescue. I mean, if someone accidentally fell over, broke their pelvis, whatever it was, of course we're going to call the experts. But really, we should, as professionals, we shouldn't get to that stage. So, but I'm a member of the British Association of International Mountain Leaders. We're qualified guides. We're all professionals who work in the organisation. Everybody in the guy that you met, Jim Langley, fantastic, just fantastic knowledge on flora and fauna. He's also a mountain rescue guide as well.
Yeah.
He volunteers his time to do that. They're all volunteers, going out in the middle of the night and stuff like that. And high credit to them. I'd love to be able to volunteer, but there's not much call in West London.
Not in Northwest London, no. But I mean, the point is that when people come on these trips, they're very well organised. You're very well looked after, and so I mean, often the numbers aren't huge on the trips because you need to keep to a certain ratio with a certain amount of people anyway.
Especially when you're wild camping, you need to keep the numbers down. And if you start taking large amounts of people, then you lose the magic of being wild camping. You've got a festival, right? So when we're doing Mountain to Tavern and we're at this campsite that's right by one of my favorite pubs in the world. I mean, it's just incredible. The bridge. I mean, I still can't eat their whole beef pie. It's incredible. It fills you up. It beats me. And this time I'm going to try and starve myself during the day so I can actually beat it. I mean, small goal. But so that's different. We can take more people and have more instructors. But those sorts of that group dynamic, that bonding, that feeling of getting away only happens, I believe, with small numbers. So that's where we keep it small.
That also means you're limited on how much money you can make per trip, though, as well, which is why the pandemic
it's not the greatest
so badly as well.
Yeah, it's not the greatest. I wouldn't go to your bank manager saying that you want to do my business idea. No Dragon's Den. No Dragon's Den's going to make an offer, but it is fantastic to do. It's a great journey, and it's really rewarding. And when you see people really feel like they're escaping in the mountains and really connecting, that's definitely, and especially if you've got them fit enough to do that, so you've seen the whole journey, then it's utterly rewarding. I really enjoy that.
And then you also do work for, or you used to, for some charities, one of which I was thinking about was Home Straight, which you wrote about. That's sadly not happening anymore. Could you tell people a bit about that and what happened?
Yeah, well, I mean, we raised money for this charity for 7 years. They got, people battling homeless issues, substance issues. They were in the parks. They're obviously with getting rehoused. They have key workers. There's all of that main stuff going on. And we were like the icing on the cake because you've got their mind, and then we're going to start working the body, making that healthier. So we got them doing outdoor boot camps, fitness in all weathers. They turned up, giving themselves discipline, giving themselves self-pride, started doing 5-kilometer runs every week at Parkrun. They did more volunteering at Hampstead Hey Parkrun than anybody else. One guy got injured. He went there for every week for a year off his own back. I mean, really giving back, seeing it as a mission in their lives. Some of them did half marathons. Some of them did that adventure race, tough guy. I mean, we took them into the mountains, and if you want to see people, unbelievably just love being out there and gaining so much from it, coming back so positive. It was a huge success. And then the charity, because of numbers, it got to a point where we really needed to reboot and change the way it was. And we were geared up to do that. And it was going to take a lot of energy, speaking to all the trustees. And then the pandemic happened. And then, I had to make a choice. And I was looking at my children, I had to take a mortgage holiday. I've lost thousands on Turn Wild. And I was like, well, what do I do? And at one point, I'd lost 95% of my weekly income. So I was like, I have to stay focused. I'm not going to give this up forever, but I'm not in a position to try and turn this round. So very sadly, we closed the charity. That doesn't mean it's over. For me now, being in the position I am, it's going to be quite easy to donate a weekend of my life and take some tents and take these guys into the mountains. So it's not over yet. But right now, we're just like a boxer who's had a bad round. We're sitting on the stool. We're not going to give up. We're not going to submit, but we will get up. We will go again with a different strategy. But we just need to have the downtime and get focused. So in the next couple of years, obviously this is still going on. We're still battling away. Once we're settled, we will definitely do it again. Yeah.
So that's, I mean, one of the tragedies of the pandemic. I mean, for small businesses like yourselves, but also the charities have also really suffered, haven't they?
Yeah, hugely. I mean, right across the board,
Yeah.
donations are down, their fundraising abilities down. Some people, are thinking, well, I need to save my money.
Mm.
And if you've got charities that are based on face-to-face contact, people's mental health is going down. And you've heard about suicides and stuff like that, and which I have as well. So yeah, I mean, I think if you talk to anyone, everybody knows that there's some very sad things going on, and
Mm.
yeah, that's why I sincerely believe, just try and get out there and even walk further. Try and manage the fact that we're not all indestructible, and what can you do? And if you start working your body, your mind will follow.
It's
Yeah.
so true. Yeah, I was a bit frazzled yesterday, and at 7:30, like, right, I'm going to do a workout. So I went and did a workout, and it just basically, very lazily, I must stress, but it just gets your mind to kind of just quieten down enough for you to, to concentrate and to get the solution to the issue you were thinking through. And also, I mean, I was watching. If you go out into woods, they say that the I don't know what it is, hormones or the smells or something is really good for your mental health. I can't remember. It was on one of the Spring Watch or Winter Watch or something, I think, or Garden. No, on Country Farm maybe. And so if you're out in the woods or anywhere outside, you get lots from just being there, don't you?
Well, you get sensory overload in a positive way. So
That's a much better way of saying it.
I mean, you step outside, suddenly you're noticing the way that the light is the shade from the trees, the water reflection, the sound of the birds, the wind coming across your face, the heat on one side of you. There's so many different things than being in the city that
Yeah.
it's refreshing, and you're just absorbing that. So
Yeah.
you are forgetting about your problems temporarily,
Yeah.
and that is so powerful. That's why, one of the things I've done with highly stressed people is very light boxing sparring. And I'm not hurting them, but they are now thinking about me possibly making them kiss my leather glove. And they can't think about their stress then. So at the
Yeah.
end of it, the goal is, yes, they just move around. It's only very light, but they have cleared their mind for half an hour or wherever it is when we're actually doing that. They haven't been able to think about anything else. And then they're going in the countryside as well. One, say you're stressed, low level walking burns that off. Bang.
Yeah.
Right? Secondly, you're thinking about foot placement all the time, especially if it's new. That's mentally making you engage more than plodding along a pavement, which is still good. But, then you've got all that sensory overload that we're talking about. And the more you go, you can do the same walk over and over again. People say, I've got to go somewhere new now. I always agree with them. I don't disagree, but I think you can do the same walk and get so much each time.
Yeah.
Because your perception of, oh, well, look at that bush. Oh, now I'm noticing that bush actually is where this bird lives. And under there, oh, look, there's signs of some scat from some animals. And then over there, and you'll start absorbing more and more and more. And then, of course, you've got in England, the same what will change because of our, we call it bad weather, but a bad weather, a grey day, suddenly everything looks different. The light's different.
Yeah.
Suddenly the season changes. So everything keeps changing. Everything is in flux. It's moving. So I would say that it's very, very hard once you start looking at those things to get bored, and you're just totally engaged in a nice, relaxing way.
So that would be your one tip for everyone during this pandemic, as you quite rightly say, because we're still in it, aren't we? Would be to just get outside to a park if you're in a city, or get outside to the countryside if you're further, away from the big.
Responsible way. And I don't mean this. I don't want to be. I'm quite a short, direct person, but the dropping chewing gum when you've walked for 5 hours to get into the wilderness, the animals pick it up. It's everywhere. We always take litter picks with us, and I fill up a bin in the middle of nowhere all the time. Because you've got tired, because you've gone a bit too further than you should have. Stuffing empty crisp packets and Coke bottles under a rock doesn't make them biodegradable. In fact, even if it is biodegradable, like a banana or an orange, if we all drop them, you're actually going to start changing the ecosystem.
Yeah.
So whatever you take out, take out,
Yeah.
and start thinking about your impact. And I think the most challenging thing that I found was the amount of mess left in the Lake District in bizarre areas. So we're up a mountain. It's taking us 2 hours to get up there, and someone's got a coffee cup, but shoved it out of view.
Yeah.
I found out because I went behind the tree to go to the toilet, out of view, and in a crevice of a tree where probably a bird goes and lands, because they don't want to carry this very light disposable coffee cup anymore. What are you thinking? Just put it in your pocket. It's Coke bottles everywhere, rubbish everywhere, and worse. So that I would just say, and then don't let it annoy you, because you're out there to enjoy yourself. Just take a bag and do something about it. Pick it up, put it in a bag, take it out. That's what I do. And we're just trying to give back to the mountain that gives so much to us.
Did you notice during lockdown there was more rubbish around,
yes,
or less rubbish?
Absolutely. I mean, and in a different sort. So one time I was at the lakes, beautiful hot weather, really nice one day, and it was like I was on the beach of Benidorm. People had inflatables. Any inflatable that got punctured had just been thrown and disregarded. Barbecue mess. I think I'm not sure if you're probably not allowed a barbecue on the beach, but why are you leaving your disposable barbecue? I know it's hot. Why don't you let it come back and pick it up? Why have you left all your crisp packets? Why have you got a circle around you of rubbish where you've obviously sat, consumed, and then just got up and gone? Things like that I just think, and people say, well, they don't understand about the countryside. There's no excuse for that.
Yeah.
That's just common sense,
Yeah.
So there's certain things people might not understand, that putting dog poo in a bag and then hanging it off a tree is actually worse in the countryside than in town. But other things, it's just not acceptable. I saw dogs chasing sheep, attacking sheep. I just, in certain ways, that was the depressing bit. But seeing other people, majority of people, really enjoying the outside, loving it, gaining all the benefits that we all know it can give, it was very positive.
Yeah, and there have been such huge problems with rubbish, and people having problems, with dogs chasing sheep and stuff like that. Last year was terrible. So let's hope this summer everyone kind of takes their rubbish away. And I think, unfortunately, some places people used to go are now kind of closed off because the rubbish wasn't removed, or people didn't respect the area as well. So I've just got to touch base a little bit, because you actually have had coronavirus. So how are you feeling now?
I'm actually feeling, okay. But when I say that, I'm not a runner, but I keep track of my running times. I'm still not back to what I was pre-COVID. So that's now about 8 weeks, 9 weeks. I'm not fretting about it, but I mean, the first few weeks when I trained, I felt weak, and then I really started to. Actually, at that time, more information came out about long COVID, so I just reeled it back a bit. But now, I'm doing what I would do normally, apart from martial arts. I haven't gone back to the gyms yet. But you really. Yeah, I'm pushing it, but I'm not back to where I was. I mean, it took a lot out of me, more than I thought it would.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't pleasant. It was having children at nursery. I mean, it was pretty, you're going to get it, aren't you?
Yeah, I suppose that's another thing we should mention. So Ian has two little kids. So you guys have been very busy in lockdown with the kids and doing the business, and obviously Kieran's back at work as well. So it's been huge pressure to kind of keep going without the extra support that you would have had normally around you.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's had it hard. People who are being living in houses on their own, which sounds ideal to any parent who go, oh my, well, love it, I lie in and then, what TV I'm going to watch. And, you know, if you're a parent, you're on the other end, you haven't got a second and you can't think because well, you try, but the noise and the racket and the, you know, it drives you mad. So I think there's two extremes that people have had. You know, obviously you don't feel lonely because a 2 and a 4-year-old will talk to you all day and all night. It might not be what you want to talk about in an intellectually way, but you know, you've got, so I think, yeah, I think everybody's in a world of extreme, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that people start appreciating what is really important, like nurses, like school teachers, like, and people put more emphasis on them because you know, they are important, and being at home, homeschooling or anything is not everyone's idea of fantastic.
So we've talked a bit about your future trips you got this summer, but moving further forward than that in the future, is there anything that you're concerned about because of the pandemic, or just in general?
I think for anyone in my business, I'm immediately worried about a third wave.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many times can I wipe off everything? So that would be an immediate thought. I'm concerned, having worked in schools, the effect of this on children's mental health long term, especially those taking exams. Especially, I mean, there's one guy, I won't say his name, but you know, a student, I keep bumping into him, and you know, he got those predicted grades. They weren't what he was expecting. So he said, okay, I'll redo the whole year.
Mm.
And suddenly it's happened to him again. And, you know, he's a very studious person, and you can start seeing him, you know, that's hard, you know. Then if you do get into university, is it going to be that university experience? So I'm concerned in some of the negative things that are going on. And I've got to say, I'm also concerned that other things make us take the eye off the ball. So what's happening with business and Brexit? So are we missing that as we focus on this? I'm not saying what I believe. I'm not, you know, I know the country's split, but I'm saying, are we taking our eye off the ball long term? So yeah, that they're the things that I'm worried about because of COVID. Yeah.
And one last question. So is there any advice you would give yourself if you, so now we're 12 months into this kind of pandemic. So if you could speak to yourself 12 months at the beginning of it, 12 months earlier, what advice would you give yourself?
Be more adaptable, like the wilderness. Yeah, I mean, I knew that anyway, but also, you know, like a lot of people, I tried, like, you know, all these different ideas. I tried loads of different ideas. I've never, you know, doing personal training and everything. I mean, I spend hours in front of a desk, but when the pandemic hit, and I lost 95% of my income, I was non-stop in front of a computer, which the movement didn't really agree with me, you know. So I felt horrible, and I think being able to adapt and focus on certain one or two things would have been more productive. And as my mood, I felt more down and started eating badly. I went through, started eating badly. I mean, I was only sleeping 2-3 hours a night.
Mm.
I should have given myself a slap across the face and got out and trained harder earlier.
Yeah.
Because that's how you deal with it. You know, you got to see a pattern. Is this negative pattern? Okay, right. How do I make a foundation? This is what I've got to do. Okay. And I'm going to cut all that out, which I've done, but I wish I'd done that earlier. But then, you know, if you're saying what lesson have I learned, that would be it. Because I would say it's been a long haul for a lot of people, you know, a very long haul. And the way that my company's structured, you know, we got a bounce back loan. That was it. We got a mortgage holiday. That was, and that's fair enough. But it was quite a lot of stress at the end, just saying, well, you know what? I can only control what I can control, and everything else I'm going to roll with the punches and give it my best shot. And as soon as I'm doing it my best shot, that's it. Nothing else I can do. So what's going to happen?
Exactly. That's all you can happen. And so what time do you, this is a little silly question, but what time do you think is the ideal time to go to bed in the evening, Ian?
Okay, I think so that you get enough sleep. Okay, and that is something where people mess up. Including myself during the pandemic, you've had a terrible day. Let's just say you work late, you've got kids, whatever. It's now 7 or 8. You're tired. You are tired, but you stick the TV on. Box sets, the biggest killer. Yeah, because you can go straight to the next one. You don't wait away, and then you're drinking a wine, having a beer, or whatever. Or maybe you're somebody who just likes, a dessert, and that's what your little treat is. And because it's a miserable time, you give yourself that treat, but that hits you with a sugar buzz. So you've got a double whammy. You've got light coming off the TV, a program that's designed to be stimulus and entertaining you, and you're enjoying it with sugar. So how many people might click and go, I'll have another episode?
Me.
Well, I did. And then before you know it, you're watching another episode.
Yeah.
And it's to go off on a tangent. This behavior is being reinforced on Facebook. Everyone goes, what box set are you watching? What box set are you watching? And it's great that everybody's trying to share, this storytelling, isn't it? With everybody to help them have enjoyment. But in actual fact, everyone watch something, go to bed. Right? That's the truth. And that was the big turner for me. I stepped back like I would with a client, and I went, Ollie, you're getting up at 5 o'clock, 4:30, and you're really tired. You need more sleep. So you need to go to bed at 8:30. So I had a rule, no TV after 8:30.
Yeah.
No TV. Bang. You go to bed, you read quietly, and you can read as long as you want. Fall asleep, boom. And then after a period of a month, started catching up on my sleep. Some nights you can't sleep, you're stressed, but you catch up. And then obviously from a health point of view, your endocrine system starting to become stronger. It's starting your immune system starting to go back. You feel more on it. You're when you train, you recover. You don't just get more worn out, and then the ball starts turning, and then you are more in a better position to deal with the pandemic and your everyday stresses. And that key is sleep. And of course, if you've got children, and then you've got it harder anyway, because they will keep you awake anyway a certain amount of days. So for you to throw in Netflix all the time, it can really, I think, mess it up. And I'm not telling people not to watch Netflix, but if you are in a place where you're not 100% happy, first of all, look at your sleep pattern. Yeah, because you wake up after terrible sleep, you may decide not to have a healthy breakfast. You may think, I need energy quickly. I'm so tired. What am I going to have? Some sort of sugary produce. And then you're in this cycle all day by day. You feel terrible all day. You get to the evening. I deserve something. What's the only thing that you can instantly have? You have a beer. You have a dessert, if that's your thing, chocolate bar, and then you watch a box set. And then you just at some point, you've got to draw a line. But now, that's it.
Do you know what? I'm drawing the line tonight, Ian, because you have just basically talked to me about what I did last night, which was.
I mean, if everybody, if your goal is to be a certain level, depending on what that level is, and you do 5 nights of being good, and then 1 night with your dessert, and Netflix, and that works for you, of course.
Yeah.
But if you're doing 5 or 6 nights and you feel terrible, then you've got to change, and you've got to there, because you're not going to be able to just bounce up and crack out a 5K or 10K or whatever it is you want to do.
Yeah. Oh, well, that is actually something very important for all of us, everyone listening, that we can all do. Not every night, as Ian says, but just make sure you've got a good routine in place, get a good night's sleep. Ian, thank you so much for talking. And if anyone wants to know more about your expeditions, they can go to
turnwild.com. And if I could just say, if anyone is looking for a box set that is particularly good, could I suggest Vikings? I particularly enjoyed that one myself.
But that's finished now.
Yeah, I'm slowly working my way through it.
Okay. I won't tell you what happens at the end. Anyway, Ian, thank you very much. So see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Ian. That was really interesting. I hope you got to say everything you wanted to say.
Yeah. I'm just happy to talk, you know. I go on one, though. That's the problem.